Here's a short tutorial on the video analysis tool. When you open up the video analysis tool, you will have two workspaces on which to analyze videos. You may use either one or both for either the same video or for different videos. However, if you do save drawings for the video, it's only the last one saved that will be kept. So first, to get a video for analysis, you'll need to have a .mp4 or .mov on your phone or computer that is less than 20 seconds long. Click Choose File, navigate to that video, and then click Upload. This may take a while, but then the page will refresh and your video will show up on the drop-down box. When you select the video from the drop-down box, the name will appear in the box to the right. You may change that name and click Rename, or if you click Delete, the video will be deleted from the server. If your video was taken in the vertical, then click the Vert Horiz button, the bottom right, and the display will be vertical. The drawing tools are on the left, and the default is the crosshairs on the video will give you a line in yellow, but you may choose by clicking on either the red, orange, or white boxes to change colors. The tools to choose from include the angle tool. Click that button, then your first click on the video will need to be at the distal end of the angle you want. The second click needs to be at the axis. The third click at the other distal end. And then the fourth click is where you want the degrees to be displayed on the video. Click on the rectangle tool and you will draw a rectangle in the color of choice. Click on the line tool and you will draw a line, and the circle tool gives you a circle. At any time that you want to clear the drawing, just click Clear Drawing, or if you have what you want, then save the drawing and it will be saved to be shown again whenever this video is brought up. In playing the video, we have a reset button which brings the video back to the start position. FB is frame backwards. It will go backwards 0.02 seconds in the movie. Play plays the movie at regular speed and turns into a pause button if clicked again. The slow button plays at slow motion and also pauses on the second click. FF is frame forward and moves forward through the movie 0.02 seconds. We've spoken about the Vert Horiz, and then we'll talk more about the dist, which is a distance tool, and the bottom right box, which shows the current play time in hundredths of a second. So this is not a mugshot with a very small nameplate. What I'm holding is a tape measure at 12 inches or 305 millimeters. This is going to be my reference measure for the video. To be able to use the reference measure, I click on the dist tool, click on one end of the reference measure, hold down my mouse as it draws a line till I get to the end of the standard measure, let up, and then the distance in pixels is shown on the distance button. So now I know that wherever on the video I measure 75 pixels, that's the equivalent of 305 millimeters in real life. So now let's use those tools and look at trying to find out how fast my hand moves in a throwing action. I play and then slow motion play and then frame forward, frame back play to get to the frame where my hand starts to move. You'll notice that I have markers on my shoulder, elbow, and wrist to make it easier to pick out during the video analysis. So in this first frame, I make a mark where my wrist is, and I note that the video time is 6.34 seconds. I move frame by frame through the video, marking the position of the yellow band that I can find. Sometimes it's a bit of a blur. Most of our cameras are taking video at 30 frames per second. This one happens to actually be a little bit better. It's a 50 frame per second camera. But you want to look for where's the farthest in that frame that the position of the object that you're trying to track. Make those marks for each one, and then note that this last frame, my video time is at 6.72 seconds. Now I can go back and connect the dots using my distance tool and find out how far the wrist moved during those frames. So I click on the distance tool, and it may take 2 clicks to zero it out if you've been using it before that. I go to my first dot, and then I just draw lines between dots, clicking down, dragging to the next one, letting go of the click, clicking again, and as you move, it adds up the measurements of each one of those lines, and the total is shown in the distance tool button. Remember that that is in pixels. So in my calculations, I'm wanting to see the velocity in meters per second. And so to get my length calculation, I want meters. We know that, look down there at the distance tool button, it says I have measured out 532 pixels. We know that every 75 pixels is one of our reference lengths. So 532 divided by 75 is 7.09 reference lengths. That 7.09 is 305 millimeters. So we multiply 7.09 of those lengths, each one being 305 millimeters, gives us a total distance of 2,162 millimeters, which is the same thing as 2.162 meters. We also need seconds, and we can see that this last frame is 6.72 seconds of our video. We looked at our first frame, that was 6.34, and so that means that that distance was traveled in 0.38 of a second. So to get our meters per second, we take our meters, 2.162, divide by the seconds, 0.38, and we have 5.69 meters per second. So that is our average velocity of my hand as I move through the throw. If I wanted to see top speed, I would probably look at one of those larger gaps, figuring that that is the distance traveled within just one frame, measure that, of course, divide by our 75 again, multiply by 305 millimeters to figure out how much of a meter had been traveled in our 0.02 seconds, which is what each frame is, and that would give me a better idea of the maximum velocity within that throwing action. So that's what I did here, except instead of going at the wrist, I went ahead and looked at the hand motion. So this is the last frame, or the end of the only frame I'm looking at, and you can see the blur there, but I do get to that point where it's marked on the right with my hand, and then I've measured that out at 141 pixels. So 141 divided by my 75 pixel reference length is 1.88 of those reference lengths. Each one is 305 millimeters, so that line is 0.573 meters long. It only took one frame, and that was 0.02 seconds, so I divide my 0.573 by 0.02, and that movement, the max velocity, was 28.65 meters per second. If I want to save that drawing, I would click Save Drawing. However, if I wanted to have two different drawings, one of the average velocity and one of the maximum, I would need to upload the video twice and save it as different names.